Hello, this is the K and A podcast. I'm your host, Kenny. I'm here with Adrian. Should I say the full because it's formal?
Yes.
Should I say the middle name too?
No.
All right. Checo. We're back again with another episode. And before we start, just want to say that we got a new logo in the background. Let us know how y'all feel about it. I love it. It was a gift from someone who's going to be on the podcast soon. Hopefully, they will be able to make it. But, let's get right into it.
Yes,
Adrian, do you want to introduce the guest for today?
Today, the guest is my cousin Wineldy. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
How
Want
you
to
feeling?
introduce yourself?
How's everything?
I'm nervous. I am very nervous. And I don't know why, but I'm very nervous. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm proud of you guys for doing this.
Appreciate it.
And for being consistent with it. So yeah, good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell the people about what you do, where you're from, ethnicity, how many sisters you got, stuff like that.
Just my whole identity.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Your social if you want.
Okay. All right. So I'm Wineldy. I am 26 years old and I'm from Brooklyn. Where do I look? Sorry.
No, you just
Like-
keep looking at us.
You can
That's
look
fine.
at us, you can look at the camera, it don't matter.
Yeah.
At the I don't want to look at the camera, but
That's fine.
okay. So should I just start over because I just
We're keeping it rolling. And I'm not
Okay.
cutting it out.
No, please cut that out. Okay, I'll start over. So I'm Wineldy. I'm 26 years old. I'm from Brooklyn. I have 2 sisters, if you really wanted to know that. I am a hairstylist in Long Island, and I've been doing that for 3.5 years at this point, which sounds crazy because I feel like I just started. But yeah.
That's good. So before we get into all the hairstylist stuff, I want to go back a little bit and ask you what college you went to, what school you went to, what you graduated with.
I went to Hunter College in the city. I graduated with a psychology degree. Basically, I just went to college because I felt like that's what you needed to do. Like my parents always said, to be successful and to get somewhere, you have to go to school. And I always hated school. And then also just like my sister went to college, his sister Naomi went to college, and I was like, I'm not going to be the only one who doesn't go to college. And like they're over here successful and I'm here like struggling. That was like the mindset behind it. So I did my 4 years and hated my entire 4 years and I was miserable. But I did it, and honestly, I don't regret it just because I feel like that's something good to have like in your back pocket because you never know what's gonna happen. So I started off thinking I was gonna be a nurse in the NICU, and I took anatomy, and that humbled me. And I was like, I literally told my professor, just don't even worry about me because I'm dropping the class either way. Like I'm changing my whole major. And so that's when I got into psychology, and I love learning about that.
Why psychology?
It was easy. And I was also taking some psychology classes already, and I really enjoyed it. Like my favorite class was developmental psych. So it basically starts like from the moment you're in the womb until you're like an adult, and just like how your environment shapes you. So that was interesting to learn because 1, everyone always has a story, and 2, it's just there was always the concept of nature versus nurture, and I feel like it just dives deeper into that. I don't know. I like learning about people. So
Is psychology like where you learn about like theory and stuff like Freud and stuff like that, or no?
yeah,
Yeah?
I think so.
Okay. Did you get anything from it that like stuck with you to like this point?
I mean, sure. I feel like I don't like think about it on like a daily basis, but I definitely do feel like I like human experience and human interaction is just a little bit different after that, because I feel like I like to go deeper and have like the deeper conversations just to like know about you. So I like knowing like about things that have happened to you, because then I'll be like, oh, so maybe that's why they're like that. I like to like piece it together. So I guess I'm happy that I took that anatomy class because it brought me to that. But yeah, I feel like psychology could be used in everything. Like we as humans just like to interact, and I feel like it always is good to just have those deeper conversations with people.
Do you think you would have disliked college any less if you would have went away?
Yeah, I feel like that's one of my honestly biggest regrets, not going away for college. I feel like it gives you such a different experience and you grow so much as a person because you're outside of your home. Like me staying here, I was working 2 jobs and going to school full time. So I didn't really have like that social aspect of it where like when you go away to college, you're literally surrounded by everyone is your age. Like you're just partying and like you just become more independent because your parents aren't there. You just have to, gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, I definitely wish I would have gone away for college.
If you could have chose to go away for which college, which one would you choose?
I would say, and I think this is just because I was there all the time, College of the Holy Cross, because Natalie was there, so I was there all the time. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like my top school was probably either Holy Cross because it was safe and comfortable, but definitely a small school. I wouldn't do a big school.
Where is that?
It's in Massachusetts.
So you used to take the drive up there?
Yeah, I mean, I used to take the bus at that point.
Oh, man.
Like, I want to say I would go up like twice a month. And yeah, it got very annoying.
So you graduated college, and did you ever like pursue like your degree like in a work field way? Like did you ever like try to go like as a psychiatrist or anything like that?
No. I graduated during COVID, so 2020, and we were shut down. And when I graduated, I always knew I didn't want to be behind a desk doing a regular 9 to 5 because that's boring. Like I like to have change. So I always knew that, but I was like, let me try it out. So I got a job at an office. I think the position was called HR assistant. I honestly don't even know. And I tried it out. I applied, got it. And then at the same time, I was also looking at cosmetology schools. But whatever, that's a whole different story. And I tried it out, and I was miserable. I actually, like, hated it. And I think it was 2 or 3 months after I quit. I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Was there a specific moment that you remember that you were like, okay, this is not for me anymore?
Yeah, I went to Puerto Rico, and on my way back home, I was crying because I was like, I don't want to go to that job again. I don't want to do that every single day. So I went in, and I went in on like a Monday. That Monday, I put in my 2 weeks. And that same day, I applied to another job.
That's crazy.
What was so bad about it? Like it was just the environment, the work you actually do?
I think I was just bored. And I was like, if this is 2 months in where it's supposed to be exciting and like new, what is it going to be like when I'm 2 years in? Like I'm going to be even more miserable. And also it just like I felt like they weren't giving me a lot of responsibilities. Like I always like to be busy. I don't like to just like sit and like do nothing. And I felt like I was just sitting and doing nothing. And it was a very small office, so it wasn't like I had a lot of people to talk to. So it was just very not my style.
So I know you personally, and I know that you pride yourself on if you pick something up, you finish it no matter what, you just find a way. So it's like, what was the conversation that you had with yourself when you felt like this was not the path that you wanted to go on, even though you spent 4 years in college doing it, and you're going to choose a completely different path now?
Honestly, I feel like during that process, I didn't think a lot. I think it was kind of like, it just like happened. I remember I was just at home. Well, first of all, during the pandemic, I learned how to do nails at home. Like I was doing acrylic nails, and I was like getting people to come to the house and I was doing their nails. And then, I don't know, just one day I was just thinking, and I was like, I mean, I've always loved beauty. So then I just applied, didn't tell anyone. But once I did get into cosmetology school, it was scary because I'm like, one, I didn't tell anyone about it. And I was like, it's a very unconventional like path to go on, especially because I got my degree. Because a lot of people would say, well, why'd you get your degree then? Like, do something with that. But I think it just felt natural and right, and I just listened to that. And yeah, I don't regret it, and I would do it still the same way. I would still do my 4 years and then do cosmetology school after.
Would you say that you're like an impulsive person, that you act on impulse?
No.
No?
I am not. I feel like I overthink a lot of things and talk myself out of a lot of things. So doing the cosmetology school on an impulse was very out of character for me.
That's very strange. It's strange because it's like that was the first decision that it was like on impulse and it led to a completely different path.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't regret it. And I think everything happens for a reason. Yeah, and I really feel like after that, I just started listening to my gut and just doing what feels right. And yeah.
Did you have this conversation with your parents?
No.
Like at all?
Like prior to going to cosmetology school?
Yeah.
No.
And then once you got in, did you ever bring that up with them?
Well, when I applied, I was just like, so I applied to cosmetology school. And I think I just told my mom. And then after I applied, it's like an interview process. And it was all like virtual. So then I did the interview. And I told them I just had an interview. And then I got in, and I know I told my mom, and my mom always was like supportive of it. She never like was like, I don't think you should do that. She always was like, are you sure? But she never was like, I don't think you should do that. Whereas with my dad, I was really nervous to tell him, just because I feel like as a guy, it's harder to understand the beauty industry and how it works, and that you can like be successful in that. So yeah, I don't even remember when I told my dad or what his reaction was. I think I just like told him and then like walked away because I was like, I don't really want to hear people's opinions. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I had the exact same thing happen. Like I did the exact same thing. Like when I was picking up photography, I went into the room. I was like, yo, I'm buying a camera. They're like, for what? And I was like, I'm taking pictures. And then right before they said anything, because I saw their mouth open, I closed the door and I left. And that was it. And then like, I think after a few months, they're like, yo, you making money off of that? I'm like, yeah. They goes, okay. And then that was it.
Literally, that's what my dad, he's like, so like, it's going good. And I'm like, yeah. And so like, what I would do is I would just like, whenever I would have a client, I would be like, oh, I just had a client. I'd look what I did. Yeah. And like, it got to a point where like, he would even get emotional seeing like my work. Cause I feel like for him, obviously he wants the best for me. So he just didn't really see the vision behind it. And so now seeing the work actually like come to life, I think he's just like, wow, like she believed in herself. But yeah, it was scary telling him.
What is that feeling like to have your parents believe in you, like in something that you're really passionate about?
I mean, it's a great feeling. Like sometimes because I have a commute to work, like I drive to work, so I'll sometimes like randomly just like think and be like, wow, like I'm really doing something that I never thought I would be doing, and I feel like I'm good at it. But seeing your parents like proud of it and like know that like you can get somewhere with it, it's just obviously like growing up with like parents who like we didn't have anything, like they was always just like work, and to see them like just be proud of you, like that's something you always strive for. Like you always want to make them proud. So I mean that's the best feeling. Like if it's between my happiness and like making them proud, it's like
Neck and neck.
Yeah.
And it's even more so that you're doing it through a non-traditional path as well.
Yeah.
So it's like them accepting that, it's a whole nother level.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like now is when my dad is kind of accepting it. I feel like it took him and I've been in a salon for like 3.5 years. So it took him a while to like warm up to it, but even like his family members are coming to me to do their hair. So I feel like that also makes him like feel good. And also just like, it comes to a point where like you just gotta accept it. Like there's nothing else that I am gonna do or that I would be doing. And I think he sees my passion for it. So at the end of the day, I think he would just want to see me happy, and he sees that. So yeah.
Do you feel like people came on to you harder because like you're the middle child, so kind of you're being held up to the standard of the older sibling, but then you're also trying to be the example for the younger sibling? Did you ever think about that? Do you feel like anybody else thought that way and kind of like put that pressure on you a little bit, or no?
I think it was in my head. I think I put that pressure on myself, and I think knowing that it was the unconventional way, like, it's scary because it's like, obviously you want a good life, and it's like, I mean, we're still young, so like you can do whatever, but it's still scary. And I didn't want to be wrong, and I also didn't want people to be right. So I was like, I want it to work out because I believe in myself and it's something that I like. But I don't think anyone told me, I don't think you should be doing it. I think it was more of like trying to understand why I switched up. I think it was always coming from like a good place and with good intentions. But I think sometimes, to me, because I was defensive about my choices, like I was very protective of that, I sometimes would take it the wrong way or take it to heart, and it would make me upset, and like emotional. But I feel like now people just see the work and believe in me. So yeah, starting definitely is hard. You really have to just stick to it and like just follow the path. But yeah, I don't think anyone explicitly was like, I don't think you're making the right choice.
So you feel like your family as a whole supported you for the most part?
Yeah, and especially my sisters, like Nerely and Marieli, they always supported me, and they were, if not even more excited than I was. So yeah, I never felt like the people that are like really close to me, I never felt that they ever judged me or questioned my decision about it.
Do you think if like if they kind of didn't really agree with it, that they would tell you? Or do you think they wouldn't? They would just be like, oh, you know what, that's my sister, I'm going to support her regardless?
I think maybe the support would have been a little bit different. I think they would have had a conversation with me, just to see where my head was at. But I don't think they would ever be like, you shouldn't be doing that. Just because I feel like we're very honest with each other, but we also always have each other's backs. So they know that if they would have said that, it probably would have hurt my feelings and made me upset. And I don't think they would want to see that.
Out of the three, you're the only one that took like that kind of pass into like cosmetology?
Yeah.
So then what got you into that then? Like what got you into like that type of stuff?
I was always into makeup. The first thing that I started off with was makeup. I literally would sit. What was fun for me was going on YouTube and watching makeup artists do their makeup and talk about makeup and skincare and all that stuff. And so then I started practicing that. And I became the person that whenever someone was going out, I would go and do their makeup. Then it was just like I was working, going to school, so that just was like something I would do on the side. But like just for fun. And then COVID was when I realized that it could actually be a career, because I always grew up in like Dominican salons, and in Dominican salons it's not very structured. The people there, they work like 10-hour days, like barely eat. It's like chaotic in there, and they're still not making money. And I always said I don't want that lifestyle, but it's cool. So I never thought of it as a career. And then my boss now, I was her client, and Naomi, Adrian's sister, was her client. And I went to her appointment with her, and I just started asking Lauren questions, like just about her career and how she started. And I literally left, and we went to the mall to eat, and I was like, wow, that was so cool. Like it made me want to like look into that. But I didn't like look into it. I waited like, I want to say almost a year. And after that conversation and just seeing how with Instagram and like social media, the beauty industry really like took a different turn. I just was like, okay, maybe I should do it, because there wasn't really anything else that I did like. Because like with my psychology degree, it's very broad. So like there's a lot of things you could do with it. But everything that you could do with it, either you had to go and get your master's. And I was like, I don't want to go to school again, even though I went to school again, but a different kind of school. Or it was just something I wasn't interested in. So yeah, I think I always knew, but never thought of it as something I can
Like
make
a
into a
long-term
career. Yeah. But yeah, after that conversation with Lauren is when I feel like that was like the first step in like being like, oh yeah, I actually would want to do something like that.
So I was gonna ask you, what was the like first steps that you took in the beginning of your journey? So you talked with Lauren. After that, were you applying to beauty schools?
No, I was still in Hunter, so I was just finishing that. I really only applied to one school, and I thought that you had to go to like the best school, and you really don't. They're all the same thing. All you got to do is you just have to pass your state board exam and get your license, and everything you learn outside of school. So I just applied to Arojo, which was in Soho, and after that I was working full time at that 9 to 5, and then from 6 to 10, I think it was, I was going to cosmetology school Monday through Thursday. But then after I quit, I switched to full time at school, and I got a job at another salon in Brooklyn, and I was there for about a year. And there I was just assisting and taking classes, but I couldn't do much because I still didn't have my license. But it was giving me way more experience than what like my peers in cosmetology school were getting, because they were just going to school. So yeah, and then after that, it's just I've been in a salon.
So I was gonna ask you, what are some things that you learned in the beginning of being a hairstylist that you would recommend somebody to do that doesn't know how to start?
Damn, that's a good question. I gotta think about this one. I think just not being afraid to do the work like on actual people, because I feel like once you're in cosmetology school, like once you know that that is what you want to do, it's scary, because then you start off on mannequins, and mannequins, you can literally mess up their hair and no one cares. But once you take your first client, it's scary. But honestly, either everyone who comes into the school knows that you are learning. So if you mess up, it's not that big of a deal. And those experiences really just help you grow, because you see your mistakes and you know you never want to experience that feeling again. And I also would just say, like, trust the process. Like, it's honestly a long and it's not an easy process, but I think when you really love something that you do, it makes it easier and it makes it worth it. Because if I wanted to take the easy route, I could just do a regular 9 to 5. I probably would be making more money, but I also would be miserable waking up every single day. I literally would be like, I do not want to go to work, and I'm just going to call out because I have those days to use. Whereas like me going now, like I don't even like, it's obviously it still feels like work because you do it every single day, but once I'm there, it's fun, and you get to talk to people all day. And with my psychology degree, I can hear about people's lives and they just vent to you. So yeah, it's fun.
Do you feel like you felt any pressure taking your first client? Because like for barbers it's different. Like if they mess up on us, it grows back in a week and we're fine.
Nah,
but
I'm still
girls, I know, yeah. During the week, it's like, all right, we're upset. But after that week, it kind of grows back. Girls, it's a little different. Their hair takes a little longer to grow.
Yeah.
Did you feel like, oh man, like what if I cut here by accident and I cut somebody's hair like too short or too long or something like that, and it takes a very long time to grow back? Like, did you feel that pressure when you took your first client?
Yes, I feel like that's all you're thinking about when you're doing the cut. It's just like, okay, if I cut here, is it gonna lay right? Which is funny because my first model, like at the salon I was at, haircut wise, was Josh. And it was just a regular straight cut. But I was just like, if I mess this up, this is so embarrassing because I'm seeing him again after this. So it's like, I'm going to have to look at that cut every single time I see him. And if he hates it, then it's like, he's not going to want to support me. But yeah, I feel like I've been very lucky with the clients and models I do have, because, I mean, I don't know if it's just I work great, or they're just very nice and they don't tell me if they don't like it and they don't make me feel bad about it. But I haven't had an experience where someone is like, I hate what you've done, or like this is too short, or I didn't want this. Thank God, knock on wood, because I still don't want to experience that. But yeah, I mean, even now that's still scary. Like if it's something that I don't feel 100% comfortable in, I'm always scared that I'm gonna do something wrong. And then if it's a regular client, it makes me feel a little bit better because they just probably will never come back. But again, it's also the experience you give them. I feel like majority of it is how they feel around you versus what you give them, because if you made them feel good and they had a great experience, they might still come back because they'll be like, you know what, let me give her another try. So
one of the things Juan said when we first had him on was him being able to talk to customers. Do you think that's one of the skills you should develop early on?
yes, when I was in college, I became very to myself because I didn't really have a social life, because I literally was just going from school to work, and all my friends went away. So my older sister was away, Noemi studied abroad, Marieli went away. So I really was just like by myself. So I felt like I became very shy. But honestly, when you're behind the chair, I feel like it comes naturally. Like that's something they always push. Like you have to talk to your client. But I mean, having those social skills definitely would be a plus because it just makes it easier. And some clients don't even want to talk, and some days I'm happy they don't want to talk because I don't want to talk either. But for the most part, yeah, I think it becomes easier once you're busy doing something because clients will just talk to you. So you really just have to. You literally could just be like, yeah, and they will keep going because people like to talk about themselves. So
even at Starbucks, people do that.
Yeah,
like I say it all the time. People will come in with their problems. They'll be like, yeah, my dog died, and yeah, my best friend doesn't talk to me, and then my aunt, yeah, she punched my mom, and I'm just like, here's your caramel macchiato.
And that's funny because that's just like a quick like exchange.
Exactly.
Imagine sitting for hours. Like people will literally talk for hours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta pretend like you're listening.
Do you have any questions that, like, if you can't think of anything to say, that you fall back on? Like, these are the 10 questions that I always ask or something like that?
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like when you work in a salon, you hear the same conversations all the time. Like, if they ask me or, like, Lauren questions, I already know what Lauren's gonna say because I heard her say it the entire week. But yeah, I feel like it's like, oh, do you have any plans for the weekend or for the summer? Are you going away? What do you do for work? Are you watching any shows? Do you have any kids? Like the basic questions just to get to know anyone, just like conversation starters, because once you start, then it's like if you relate to that, then I can say something back to that. Yeah.
Do you think that, do you think that you faced any challenges being in not a predominantly Hispanic-owned salon? Like, do you think you faced challenges being in a predominantly, like, white neighborhood? Where somebody, like, maybe just didn't want you to cut their hair, stuff like that?
Honestly, no. I feel like it honestly is good because... I mean, for me, not talking from like the client's experiences, but like from my experience, it makes me feel more well-rounded because I feel like just because of like my culture, I can really, like, if someone who comes in only speaks Spanish, I can take them in versus like Lauren doesn't really speak Spanish, so it would be a struggle for her. But no, honestly, no. A lot of people that come in, even if they are like not Hispanic, because I have curly hair, they want to come to me if they have curly hair too, because they feel more comfortable. Because obviously if you see someone that has straight hair, they're going to be like, oh, they might not know how to cut my hair. But the race never felt like an issue to me, or the clients never made it feel like an issue either. And Lauren doesn't make it feel like an issue either. I feel like if that was an issue, I probably wouldn't be there because that's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Do you feel, what are some things that, like, Lauren did for you in the beginning? Like, you talk about her a lot, you gravitate towards her a lot. So what are some things that she did for you, like, because you were at a salon before and you left and you came there because you felt like you were learning more?
I liked her work a lot. Like, I liked how she worked. I liked her path that she took. I just like admired her as a hairstylist. So honestly, when I did start working for her, it kind of was like a full circle moment, because she was the one that actually like inspired me to go to cosmetology school. But I think it was just the fact that she's been doing hair for I think 10 years now, and she still is very open to learning more. So it doesn't feel like, she never made me feel like anything that I did was wrong. Like it felt like normal, and she always made me feel better after. Like if I wasn't confident in something, she always like knew what to say. But it really was just the way she carried herself behind her business, and that she was so young and she was her own boss. Like that was something that and still is something that I want to do. So I feel like I like to learn from people so that I can learn and like follow in their steps. But yeah, she's just a great hairstylist and also a great boss. So learning from her has just been like everything I could have asked for. And it felt like a good decision making that transition.
What's so different from her from like a hairstylist at the salon around the corner, for example?
I mean, when you work in a regular salon, like a bigger salon, it's hard to get that one-on-one attention. A lot of the times it's harder to learn while you're working, because they're more focused on bringing in the next client for more money, versus I always said my main goal was to provide an experience to people. And I feel like Lauren also focuses on that, where she would rather treat a client amazing. And even if she can only take 2 people that day, she knows that client is going to come back. So the retention that she has is better than like having 50 people come in one day, but how many of those people are actually coming back? And also just the fact that she really provides a more intimate experience. I felt, especially in the salon that I was at, like no shade to them. I loved working there and I learned a lot from them and they're great. But I did feel like it was more about the money, and I felt like clients could feel that. And that's not something that I would have been proud to give to clients. Like I wouldn't want a client to come to me and feel like I didn't give them my best because I was so worried about taking on the next client. Like I always felt like it wasn't even like a competition to like get the next client, because it was by appointment, but it was like how many clients can you have in one day, where it was like literally 3 people in at the same time, and you can give them 15 minutes of your time, but they're paying so much money for it. I felt like that just isn't fair to the client. So yeah, that's the main difference, where it's like it's more of an experience and it's intimate. Like you create an actual relationship with the client and the stylist. But it also is just, that's just how I like to work. Like for some people, the fast paced is what they like, versus me, like I like the one-to-one client experience, versus having 3 at the same time. Because I feel like it's stressful for everyone. So
No, I could imagine. Like I remember just waiting sometimes for my mom to get her hair done. I'm sitting there. I got, you know where like they put the dryer? I used to sit right there, be like, "Hey, muchacho, muévete de ahí," and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yo, they're heartless in there.
Yo, for real.
Rude.
I'm on my Game Boy and stuff, and then oh
they're
man.
like, vete pa' allá.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm trying to eat my food.
Yeah, so then
In
it's
the
like,
wrong
it's
spot.
also like if a client has like something to do, it's like you're there for hours.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to spend their day at a salon. They want to spend a few hours, but they don't want to be there like morning to night. So yeah.
Would you recommend like somebody that's starting into that field to take kind of what you're doing now instead, where it's like more one-on-one, like it's kind of a smaller salon, you learn more from a person who's more experienced as opposed to like a bigger salon?
I think that depends on the individual. Like I think it depends on 1, how you learn, and 2, the work environment you want to be in. Because remember, a lot of times like in hair salons, like with females, it's a lot of females, and there could be a lot of like drama for no reason. But if you feel like you learn best in a fast-paced environment, and a lot of times they do provide like classes on your day off, but then on your day off you're still going to be in the salon. So it just depends on like how you work. For me personally, the one-to-one and the smaller business works better for me because I learned by watching. So in the bigger salon, I was washing hair most of the time. I wasn't standing and watching her do the highlights. So it was taking me longer to learn and made me feel less comfortable to actually practice on someone because I felt like there was nothing to fall back on. Like I learned I can watch someone and do it on someone because it's like replaying in my head. I couldn't do that in the other salon. So yeah, it just depends how you learn.
What are some basics of being a hairstylist that you need to master in the beginning?
Your confidence behind the chair. The basics of just cutting hair. And just salon etiquette. I feel like those are the three things. The confidence is number one because even if you're good at what you do, if a client feels like you're nervous or like you don't trust your work, they're going to be like nervous too. And they're going to be questioning every move you make, which is going to make you more nervous. A lot of it is energy transfer when you work in a hair salon. Like you really feel people's energy. And then just learning the basics of cutting. Like you really have to take time to just practice it. Like even when you're not working, because once you know the basics, you can just work with it and make it fun and different for every client. And just like salon etiquette, keeping the salon clean, like working as a team, helping each other out, like never feeling like you're better than your coworker, because I feel like that's when it just starts to get catty and weird in salons. Because it's so many girls and emotions and hormones and stress. Yeah, I think my advice is just be confident in your work because that's just what's going to take you. You can be horrible. You can be, no, not horrible. You can be mediocre at what you do. But if you are confident and you believe yourself, you can sell your work to anyone. And anyone is going to want to come to you. So I really feel like that's something you have to start from the beginning. Because if not, you're gonna, it's harder to build it once you're in it. Obviously, when you're good at it, it's easier. But I think in the beginning, just still trust yourself. Like, because clients will know if you're a beginner or not. So they're still coming to you and they're paying. So they know what they're getting themselves into.
What are some things that like, that you said that you, salon etiquette, you help each other out? What are some things that like you guys do to help each other out? I'm confused as to like, what is it like? Just supporting each other like through your work, like reposting on Instagram.
Well, yeah, like that. The support like outside of the salon, of course. But like even just like in the salon, like when someone finishes a haircut and there's like hair all over the floor and they're about to blow dry, sweep up the hair so that it doesn't fly all over the salon. Or if she's busy with one client but her timer went off for this other client, they need to rinse the color. Just rinse the color for her, or like shampoo her. She doesn't have the time. And leave her at the sink. We use a lot of like toner bottles and like bowls and brushes. If the sink is full, wash it. Like don't wait for the next person to do it. Just making sure everything is clean and like tidy, because if a client comes in and it's a mess, they're not gonna look at one person. They're gonna look at everyone, and it just everything flows smoother like that. Like when it's a team and not just people just doing it for themselves, it's easier to come into work every day versus being like, oh my God, I'm the one that's going to be doing all the sweeping and cleaning, because that turns you off. Like that's not what you came in to do. You came in to do people's hair, not to sweep hair off the floor. So yeah, that's really it.
What's it like on like a, how do I say it? Is it like customer etiquette in terms of that? Like, because I know it's a little different for us at a barbershop. Like, it's like you walk in the shop. To me, I don't do it all the time because depending on how it feels. But I say what's up to all the barbers sometimes, depending on the shop. Because you walk in the spot and, I don't know, it feels kind of weird sometimes. But is there something like similar to that, like in a salon, for example?
Yeah, like I feel in the salon that I'm at, every client anyone that walks in, because she also like rents out 2 rooms, even if they're not like clients coming to us to do their hair but going to like the other girls, we still say hi, like how are you, if they have a question we answer it. I think that's just, honestly, I feel like that's common sense. Like I feel like that's just like human courtesy. Like when someone walks in, you say hi. I do get like if you walk into like a barbershop or like to any business and there's a bunch of other people, some people don't even look up. So I feel like that's different. or if they're working on a client, you're not gonna be like, hi, like, how are you? You're not gonna interrupt them. But yeah, I think that should just come naturally. Like, you want the client to feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what when you work at like a retail store, like a restaurant, they're like, the customer is always right. It's like the customer and the client really does come first. So yeah.
I got a couple gripes with that. Customer's not always right.
No, they're not always right. But in the salon, I feel like as long as they're comfortable, it's fine. Like, you make them feel welcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first step in keeping a client. So.
Did you have to, because you guys have a lot of tools in that salon, like more than like barbers. Like barbers just have the clippers, the trimmers, stuff like that. Did it take you a while to learn like what everything is and what it's used for?
Not the tools, because we all have a bunch of hair. Like, I wish go from curly to straight, so that's most of the tools. The scissors for cutting, yes, because they have like a bunch of different scissors for different things. But like styles and techniques, like, I felt when I was in cosmetology school that I was like one of the few people that didn't really know how to do like a perm set, like with the rods. I never knew what that was. I knew what a relaxer was, but there was a lot of things that, or like to do a curl, like with a curling iron. I never curled my hair. It was either straight or like naturally curly, so I didn't even know how to do a curl like that. So times like that, I was like, oh my god, like maybe I shouldn't be doing that, because everyone else did them so good, so naturally, so effortlessly, and I was like, how do I even hold the iron? So yeah, and stuff like that, or like even just like in blow dries, I grew up with like super flat, like no volume blow dries, whereas like they were trying to teach voluminous blowouts, and a lot of people got it easily because a lot of them had like the finer and they wanted the volume, where I had the natural volume. I didn't have to work for that, so all of that was just very new to me. So it was more of like techniques that I didn't know, but tools, I feel like it all looked pretty like familiar to me.
What do you think the hardest thing to learn was? Because even from the outside, I feel like just learning, working with different hair types, to me would be the hardest thing. Because even as a barber, I'll be hearing people say like, oh, like this person has coarse hair, so it's harder to fade. Or this person's hair was too straight, so I couldn't line it up as much. Is there something similar to that? And
yeah, I remember when I first started, I was like, I honestly think it's easier to work with textured hair versus straight hair, because I was used to the textured hair, versus when it's naturally straight, you don't have to use as much like of your arm strength. Like, it's easier. Whereas I was doing too much and I was getting nothing out of it. So that was hard to adjust. And honestly, the hardest thing for me to learn is cutting. And I still like struggle with like the more advanced cuts. Because it's all, you have to visualize it before you do it. Like color, I can visualize because of placement. But visualizing in terms of shape is so different. Like, you really have to know how the angle is going to affect the shape of it, and how this scissor is going to change up how the cut looks, or the shape of the face, or the way the hair lays because of the cowlicks. Like, I feel like cutting has so much more science behind it versus color. And I feel like I can get color down quick, but cuts, I feel like I've always struggled. Even cosmetology school, I was like, if I can just do the color and not do the cut, I'd be so happy. But then it's also like you want to be well-rounded. So I was like, I mean, I'm going to learn it. But yeah, definitely there's some things that I'm just like, you can tell me 10 times and I would be like, say it one more time.
So being a hairstylist, people open up to you really easy. Are there any life lessons that you learned from like clients that really stuck with you to like this point? Or even things that they just maybe even told you? Because sometimes when you get comfortable, you kind of figure out like what people do. Maybe this person works in finance. Maybe this person works with like stocks or real estate or something like that. And they're giving you pieces of advice on how to own your first home or how to open up like a Roth IRA, stuff like that. Do you have like a lot of clients like that?
A lot of our clients are younger, like around my age or like very early 30s. So I feel like we're pretty much around the same like stage in life. But we have this one amazing older woman. Her name is Barbara, and she's just like this little light. Like, she is just an amazing person. And she just, like, without even knowing, will give you like life lessons. Like, she talks about her family so much, and like her great grandkids, she's literally like in her 80s, and she comes in with like Birkenstocks, like a blue jacket, like makeup done, nails done, a bunch of jewelry, but she's so cute. I feel like she gives a lot of like life lessons, and just like radiates like love. The biggest thing I take away from like working with people though is energy transfer is so real. Like, there are some people where you leave feeling so good, and then there's some people where you're just drained. Like, I will drive home from work, I will have an hour and 10-minute commute, and there will be no music on because I'm just so drained from that last client. Like, I don't want to hear anything else. Yeah, that's my biggest thing from working with people. Like, people really will drain your energy without knowing. Yeah.
That'd be me at Starbucks work, going in the morning, driving at 4 in the morning, no music. Damn, bro, I really gotta open this door. 4 in the morning, no music, nothing.
In the morning, I'm fine. In the morning, I'm up. I'm either listening to a podcast, the K&A podcast.
Shout out K&A.
Listening to music. But when I leave, sometimes I'm just like, Lord, that client was just a lot. But yeah, I feel like a lot of our clientele, they're younger. I mean, you get like advice on like, I feel like this just the way people carry themselves, you learn from them. But I don't really get advice on like buying homes, like the big adult stuff. I wish I did, but not really.
Because I know Huang has a lot of clients like that that'll teach him like a bunch of stuff that he just didn't even know.
I had this one older lady. I was doing her hair, and I was talking about how I ideally wouldn't want to rent out first. Like, I would just want to buy. And she was like, oh my God, you're so wise. Like, I wish you're so wise and mature. I wish when I was your age, I would think of that. And in my head, I was like, I mean, I'm not going to do that. But like, that's like the ideal way to go. And I just thought it was funny because she was like 40, maybe 50. And I was 25. And I was like, you think I'm wise and mature, and you're a grown, like, middle-aged woman. I don't even know if that's middle-aged, but yeah, that was just funny.
Yeah.
You gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
So, this I don't know why I just thought of this, but you say you deal with a lot of young clients, right? So, have you ever had a client come to you after watching the TikTok on how to cut their hair?
Yes.
Cause I've literally the other day, I swear to God, you ever seen that thing where they're
the
like
butterfly cut?
I don't know.
They bring the ponytail.
Yes,
here.
and then they cut it.
Yes.
Yo, I saw a girl do it. Yesterday, crying right after.
I can't watch those videos anymore because I'm just like, oh, please don't cut it. Like, or they literally will cut it like here, and I'm like, where do you think that's gonna land? Like,
oh, they cut so much. She literally had the glob of like hair in her hand. I'm like, that's so much. And then she doubled down. She did the back, and she brought it forward, and then she cut it again.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, the thing, like Adrian said, with us, when we cut our hair, it takes so long to grow. You guys will get it in 2 weeks. You will get back to where it was before. Like, you can start over.
Yeah.
So that's why when they do it, I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna have to deal with this for like 6 months. Like, that's so bad. Unless you just want to chop it all off, but no one ever wants to do that. So.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who come in with either color that they do at home, which just makes the job 10 times harder, or like they're like, oh yeah, I didn't want to come in, so I just nipped it a little bit, and it's like everything is so uneven, but it's fine. That's the whole art of it, where you can like turn something that looks crazy into something beautiful, and then they leave feeling so much better. So yeah.
So now you spent a lot of time honing your craft, learning from Lauren. You open up a new part of your life next year, where you're hopefully going to move to Massachusetts, right? What are some things going into that role? You're going to rent your first apartment. You're leaving New York City like your sister did. What are some things that you're like thinking about in the beginning steps of going to Mass?
A lot of things. I'm thinking about how much I'm going to miss everyone and like adjusting to that. I'm thinking about whether I'm going to like working in like a bigger, faster paced salon. I'm assuming it's going to be faster paced. and just like starting over with my clientele. I'm thinking about how fast I'm gonna grow. I'm thinking about the race thing there, because I feel like in New York, even if it is in Long Island, you still get like a wide like range, but I feel like in Mass it's a lot more like white people. So that makes me a little bit nervous. Like I feel like I might feel like an outsider, especially because I have like the big curly hair. But then I'm also excited, because I'm excited to see myself grow in a different environment and challenge myself in that. I'm excited to also kind of be the outcast, because I think it's fun sometimes, because people will just be like, oh my God, wow. And like a different clientele will come to me because literally just of my hair. I'm excited to do real adult things like paying rent and just moving away.
Somebody say that.
I mean, it's scary because it's a whole new state where like I don't have my entire family there, but I think it goes back to like the whole thing of when you go away for college, you get that experience of being independent. And I feel like I've always been an independent person. I feel like I've been ready to just take that step to be on my own for a while. But the way the economy is set up, it makes it a little bit harder. But yeah, I feel like I'm nervous, like the normal nerves, but I'm also very excited, and I'm like counting down the days until I like sign that lease and pack my stuff up and go. But tears will be shed, but it'll be tears of happiness, and it's just a new chapter in life. I'm like, we're still so young, like if we don't like it, we can come back. But yeah, it's gonna be weird being in another salon with like a bunch of girls versus like the salon I'm at now. It's just me and Lauren, and I've already cried about thinking about when I do leave her. But it's all good things. You always grow from things that are scary and challenging. So life will go on.
Yeah, you want to ask your question?
Freaking awesome. So I always like asking people at the end if they have any stories that they want to share, good, bad, annoying, scary, anything with clients wise, anything in that nature.
Okay, so I mean, I definitely have a handful of annoying where like clients are just so picky. Like they'll be like, I love the cut, and then like they'll come in and be like, I actually hate it. And when someone says they hate the cut after they say they love it, it's just like, it like hurts you so bad. And it's just like a mind game, because it's like, do you actually love it now? Like then you do the cut and you're not confident in it. You got to pretend like it's like great. Be like, this is the cut for you. And then they'll come back and be like, actually, can we change the whole thing again? So yeah, we have annoying clients like that. There was this one guy who came in like randomly. He was, so next door to the salon we're at, there's a barbershop. And so he went to the barbershop and he dyes his grays, like he colors his grays. So he came in, and I struggle with working with shorter hair. Like that's something I'm still like working on. So this was actually a while ago. Like this was probably over a year ago. And he came in, wanted to color his grays, and Lauren is like, well, you're doing it. And I was like, I really don't want to. And she's like, no, you're doing it. And I was like, okay. And this is like not like a calm, quiet guy. Like this is a loud, like big personality. Like will tell you if you're doing something wrong because he thinks he knows everything. So I'm doing his hair, and I'm obviously nervous because first of all, this is the first time I ever really work on a guy. And two, like big personalities can be very intimidating sometimes, especially when I wasn't confident in like coloring hair. And he's like talking so much about himself and saying he works with all these like famous people. He said some crazy name, and I'm like, there is no way you work with this person. Like really like hyping himself up, which like kudos to him, because that's really how you get your name out there. So then after he left, we were curious and we were like, all right, let's like look him up. There was like nothing to be found on this man. Like he did not work with all these people, he said. And I was just like, that's actually kind of weird, like to like make up this whole like life story and then like we don't find anything about that. Because if you work with all these people, your name will be out there. So he talked about even working with Trump. Like I was like, yeah, like big names. And we were like, okay, like whatever. At that point, I just wanted him out of the chair.
But like doing what?
He was like, I know he sang. He said he used to sing, and like he would sing at weddings. But then he said he would also like sign people, like work in like getting people signed in the music industry. And he said some name of like some young artist that's like big now. I forgot the name because this was a while ago. And so we looked up that artist, and his name was nowhere to be. Like literally, we looked on YouTube, Google, like he was just like a nobody, like a regular person. But he made it seem like he was like, I work with Trump. Like Trump is my guy. That's my friend.
I should have had him call him right then and there.
Yeah, we should have been like, oh, FaceTime him. I want to say something to him. But yeah, that was a weird experience. But there's a lot of good ones. Like Barbara's always a good client. Juliana's always a good client. Yeah, we have a really good clientele. We don't have like mean people. So yeah, it's good.
All right. Well, we're gonna end it off here. We appreciate you for coming. You want to shout out your channels, all that stuff, Instagram, stuff like that, anything?
Yeah, my Instagram is styled by .neldy, Neldy. I'm based in Long Island, but we're right by the Roosevelt Field Mall. There's a train a block away. Yeah, you'll really have a good time with us. And yeah, thank you for having me. I was so nervous coming on, but it was actually so fun, and I liked the whole experience. And I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Anything
great.
you want to say before we get out?
No, that was all.
That's it. All right.
Just have a great day, everyone who listens to this, and this podcast is gonna do big things.
Appreciate it. Thank you. You want to end it off?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, like.
But I never do it.
You always do it.
No. This has been the K and A podcast. All right, that was good. Let's get out of here. What happened? What are you waiting? See you later.